Good, Rodney. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, beautifully. Sharp
Alright.
and clear. How are you going?
Not too bad. Just got home.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for taking the time out to have a chat to me.
Yeah, it's alright.
Your sighting is rather interesting because I think you said you grew up in Tassie, so you're quite familiar with the animal.
Yeah.
You grew up on a property and farm, or?
I grew up down Pelverada way for a while, but my infancy was in Glenluss, which is bushland.
Yep.
Yeah, and both my parents are country bumpkins, so I was raised with respect for the bush, and yeah, just had a fascination for tigers ever since childhood.
Excellent. And how old were you when you left this great Apple Island?
18.
18. Have you been back much since?
I have. The longest period I went back for was 11 months.
Okay, yep.
I try to go every year, but because of the COVID and that, I haven't been back for a while.
Yeah, it's stuffed
My
up.
parents are still down there. Yeah.
Stuffed up a lot of people's travel plans.
Yeah.
And you had an encounter not necessarily in Tassie.
No,
that.
of all places. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you want to go into a bit of detail with what actually happened and what you discovered?
Yeah, well, I went camping with my girlfriend and her best friend and her boyfriend.
Yep.
And we were just going for a bit of a bushwalk, and we came across a bit of a ledge that had sandstone inside and was powdery.
Yep.
And we spotted a mummified corpse. And as I got close, I thought it's probably a dog, and then the shape of it to me looked like a whippet or a little greyhound.
Yep.
But then when I noticed its feet, that was the first thing I noticed. Its feet were extra large.
Yep.
And then I looked at its back leg, and it looked a similar shape to a Tassie tiger. So I thought, well, this has got to be like a juvenile if it is one. And the fur was too deteriorated, so I couldn't tell really. But it was the fragments of fur that did exist were like a darky brown, sandy, browny kind of colour.
Yep.
And then I looked at the backbone, and the tail sort of matched up with the backbone and continued on. So to me, it looked like a stiff tail. And then I looked at the teeth, and the teeth were oversized for a whippet or a greyhound.
Yep.
They're really big in sizes. And then I looked at the side of the skull, and the skull was extra wide compared to a greyhound. So that's me and my mate were both comparing it, and so this looks like it's a tiger. I thought, nah, it can't be because we're in Callaway Creek, you know.
Yep, which
Going
is
near
in
Tassie.
New South Wales.
Yeah.
I think it was in the Hawkesbury region, wasn't it?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yep.
So we notified the local ranger there, and he came and got the corpse, and we'd already left as he was coming to get it, so we didn't hear anything else of it. We gave him our details, but we never heard anything else.
Yeah, no surprises there.
No. So it's pretty much hid the fact. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's the second deceased thylacine I've heard of from New South Wales that got sort of not necessarily hushed up, but not made public.
Carpet, not notified, no.
Yeah. What year was this, mate?
Well, I would have been 21, so I'm 46 now.
So 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So that would be 1996, 97, something like that?
Yeah, around that time, yeah.
Yep, okay. And you didn't think maybe you should grab it and photograph? I suppose you wouldn't have had a phone with a camera, would you?
No, the phones were like Nokia brick phones back then with
yeah,
horrible pixelation. So yeah, it didn't enter our mind to take a photo.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah.
But what did you obviously your partner was there and the other people did you just talk about it much afterwards, or?
Me and my partner's best friend's boyfriend, we were talking about it for ages afterwards.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be a thylacine for sure.
No regrets there?
No regrets, but I wish I had the technology I have now. I would have took a photo, would have took samples, would have done a lot more different things, but I was young and silly back then.
Yeah, well, we've all been there and done that, mate.
Yeah, it was more the fact that it overwhelmed us, so we were sort of stunned and in shock.
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't really think.
So the walking trail was near the ledge area, or
it wasn't too far from the campsite.
Wow, and it was just lying there, petrified.
Just petrified, protected from all the elements.
Yep.
It was probably about 1.5 meters into the cave, and the cave was about 2 to 2.5 feet tall.
Okay, so it was quite a small lair.
Yeah, very shallow sort of ledge cave.
Yep.
Yeah, so it sort of stood out. Yeah.
That's amazing. And do you remember? Did you actually speak to the ranger, or you just saw him coming in as you were driving out, or?
We saw him as we were leaving because they checked the campsites regularly. So as we were leaving, we saw him and we just notified him that there was a mummified corpse of some kind of animal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually had a fella contact me last year that had all sorts of information, and he claimed that he'd seen a insurance payout from the NRMA of a road accident where some tourists in a hire car crashed into this unusual striped dog.
Okay.
And he'd seen the claim investigation, this form, and there was a photo or two there of this striped dog whose head was completely mushed because it had been run over.
Right.
But he said for all intents and purposes it looked like a Thylacine's carcass to him. It was a male.
Yeah.
He said he recognised that it was a male, but he said it was quite large, but the head was all mushed up because of the actual accident. And that's the other one. And there's apparently somewhere, I think Dr. Paddle found it for his book, there was one shot in New South Wales in the 1800s.
Oh, wow.
And that's on the record somewhere in some ye olde, explorer's notes or something. But that one that got hit by the car was the first one that had been discovered in over 100 years, and there was some notes about that in the file. But
it's quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got it on the sly sort of thing, that information. I wouldn't name him or how he saw that file because that would be not fair.
Well, they've got a very distinct back leg formation as well, and their chest cavity is quite large as well.
Yeah, and that back foot, that short hock is unique.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
if you found a corpse, I'd be looking for a pouch straight away, a reverse pouch straight away,
Yeah, on the female. The males have got a small pouch around their testes as well.
Yep.
And their penis actually comes out behind the testes.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a strange setup, but I think that's part of that whole evolution or weird creation.
Well, I don't remember seeing the anatomy of a Tassie tiger, but I've had one that was stuffed at the Tasmanian Museum.
Oh, back in the day when you could get up close to taxidermies.
Yeah, absolutely. They had like an exhibition just for Tassie tigers.
Okay. Was that in the T-Mag in Hobart?
That was in Hobart in the museum there.
Yep.
Yeah. I was pretty young then. I think I was about 11 or 12.
Yeah, they're all behind glass now.
Yeah, but so that left an impression in my head, and that was when I said, no, this is my favourite animal.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a few sightings from around the Hawkesbury area actually. So they're older sightings, obviously, but there are that coast north of Sydney, and also as you get closer to Byron Bay, and Coffs Harbour as well. There's quite a few sightings in and around the hinterland there.
I don't know if you've seen the footage of two motorbike riders in Tassie where they crossed a creek and they found a partial skull of a Tassie tiger.
Yeah, I believe that was a bit of a setup from what I heard, with a skull they bought online.
Oh, bugger.
One of those printed skulls. I've actually got a 3D printed skull that a fella gifted me, which is awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and it's made straight off of one from, I think, the Smithsonian. So it's 3D printed, so it's absolutely spot on to look at. It looks really cool.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
It's really handy when it comes to looking at dentition and having a quick reference for the teeth.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So it's a handy little thing to have. But mate, your story is the first one I've had where someone's actually done an interview with me where they've claimed to have seen a dead one. So
yes,
kudos to you for coming forward. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. I just wish I had got more evidence with it, just to at least lay claim if it is or wasn't.
Mate, 21 years old, you were too busy drinking and chasing women around, probably.
Exactly.
I know I was.
Yeah. Oh,
so I wouldn't expect anything too great. But I've had a few stories of relics. Of people, seeing pelts and things that their grandfather shot in South Australia, and
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
There's a few stories, but still yet to get my hands on one of these relics, damn it.
Oh, that would be really good, yeah. I mean, they were giving the pelts for £1 or something back in the old days, weren't they?
Yeah, that was the bounty. It was £1, which was a lot of money in the 1800s. It was like a month's wages, you know.
And it was all because of sheep farmers. Apparently the Tassie tiger was a smart little bugger, and he go up the back end and go through their intestines, go after their kidney, heart and liver, and then leave the rest.
Yeah, that's right. And we often find kangaroos or wallabies with their heads completely missing.
Yep.
And the lungs taken out through the neck cavity.
Amazing.
That's not a rare phenomenon at all. We find that in every state of Australia pretty much.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm talking adult, 6 foot tall male Western grey kangaroos with their heads missing.
Oh, crazy.
But if you listen to the scientists, Thylacine's had a weak jaw and they only hunted small prey, Which,
quite strong.
Yeah, anything that's got a 120-degree angled jaw is designed to grab a rather large neck and give it a big chomp, I would say.
Absolutely, and if you look at their backbone and everything lines up with their muscly legs and their back muscly legs. It all lines up with them having a great deal of power in their jaws.
Yeah, absolutely. And those legs have got some power too. There's some sightings of them taking leaps of 12 feet straight up a cliff bank.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
We actually got a video of some prints from WA where a lady had them in a swamp across the road from her house, and it was fenced off for a subdivision for housing. And the prints go right up to the cyclone fence and stop, and then they start again on the other side of the cyclone fence.
Wow,
so it's just taken one leap straight over, like 9 feet, bang, straight over the fence. Amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So, never say never with these things. I like to keep my mind open all the time to different ideas.
I like to think they still exist, especially down in Tassie. It's so dense down the southwest coast.
Yeah, it is. And, out here in the northeast, we get quite a few sightings. You'd be pleased to know that we had a sighting on New Year's Day near Mount Macedon in Victoria.
Okay. Well, that's promising.
Yeah, we've had a New Year's sighting last year in the Barossa Valley in South Australia out of Lyndoch, and then New Year's Day the year before we had one in Omeo in Victoria.
Okay.
Up near the Victoria-New South Wales border. We actually got a photo out of that one, but it's a bit hard to tell what it is, but it's definitely sort of doesn't look like a fox.
Too, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're a very solitary animal, and it makes it very difficult to pinpoint where they're going to be, but...
Yeah, definitely. I heard they don't dig dens or anything. They push over tufts of grass, and they sort of live in a hollow in amongst the grass reeds where you've got like tufts.
Yeah, they'll make a nest, so to speak.
Yeah, just to get out of the wind.
Yeah, and they will go in a hollow log or in a base of a tree that's hollowed out. They, like you found, they'll go in an overhang with a bit of a cliff over it to keep out of the weather.
I was thinking maybe if it was a Tassie tiger, it's just gotten sick. An adolescent eating the wrong thing, and it's just died right there. And
could have taken a 1080 bait, mate. Could have been anything. Could have been too many sausages from the campground.
That's it, eh?
Could have had cholesterol problems. Oh, no, that's awesome, Rodney. I really appreciate it.
Bring them back, I really do.
Well, I don't think they've ever gone away. They've just become a lot smart. You think about Tassie, they took out over 3,000 of them. Now, the population that was left would have been reasonably scattered, but the ones that were left that didn't get snared, they must have been pretty smart.
Oh, yeah.
So you're left with a breeding population that's a little bit smarter than the majority of them.
Absolutely.
And that becomes your main gene pool. So it's no surprise that they got more cunning as time went on.
Yes, definitely. I mean, there's so many places to hide too. If you look at all the old colonial days when you heard of convicts... doing massacres and then disappear in the bush, you could disappear within 5-6 minutes. Oh, yeah. If you knew anything, if you had any kind of bush skills back in those days, they'd never find you. No, definitely not, no.
You know the story of William Buckley?
No, I don't.
Have you ever heard of that story? You got Buckley's chance of surviving that?
I've heard of that, yes. Yep.
Well, that comes from Victoria. There was a fella by the name of William Buckley who was a convict in, I think it was Portland in Victoria in about 1804. And that was the first settlement in Victoria. And they dropped all these convicts off on the beach with a couple of troopers to keep an eye on them and start doing things.
Yeah.
And this William Buckley and two others decided they'd had enough, so they buggered off. And they got down the coast a fair way, and the two that were with him decided, nah, bugger this, we're going to go back and face some music. We don't want to starve to death. But Buckley said, nah, I'm not going back, and he kept going. Well, he disappeared, and they thought he'd died. And about 30 years later, this white fella was rounded up with a heap of black fellas running around with a wallaby skin on and a spear and talking full Aboriginal dialect. And he ended up being pardoned, and they took his... There's an ABC special about it. It's excellent. I saw it years ago.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it's really quite fascinating. And he survived in the bush with the blackfellas. They taught him everything. And they held a bit of a war on with the British, with the settlers for quite some time before they walked in and handed themselves in. But, yeah, he ended up going to Hobart. And he's buried in Hobart somewhere. He died in the 1860s, 1870s, somewhere over there.
Okay.
But it's a fascinating story of survival.
Yeah, well, see, my parents are only one suburb away from where I was born. I was born in Lena Valley.
Yep.
And they're in Moona next door.
Oh, yeah, that's right on the foothills there, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, beautiful. No, I'm sure there's plenty of other awesome stories of survival down there.
I hope so,
Yeah.
All
right.
I've got a bit of Aboriginal history on my dad's side. We've got Ben Hall.
Yes, from Victoria.
Summary, family migrated down to Tassie somehow.
Yep.
And the other one was Michael Howell, who used to be a soldier on a man of warship. And he then, got bored and started trading and doing things behind the scenes and got done for it. And then he became a convict and came to Tassie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a few... my family came to South Australia in 1838. My great-great-great-grandfather built the first pub in Meadows, so there was a bit of stonemasonry there, and they had a farm. There was stories about them trading with the Aboriginals that used to come through and stuff in some of these old family stories that we dug up.
See, my mum's family, they come from Ellendale.
Yes.
When they migrated from Germany, and then my dad's family came all from Scottsdale direction, up Launceston way.
Yeah, okay, that's out my way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's red dirt soil for potato growing.
That's it. I'm surrounded by it right now where I'm sitting with a phone signal, actually. Yeah. Just out of Winnaleah.
So you're on top of that hill on the video?
Which video are you talking about?
One of your videos just said you were talking to a guy on a phone and you had to get a signal off on top of a hill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's where I pull up, actually. Same spot. Just out of Winnaleah.
Yeah.
It's all potatoes.
And around Tassie too, because you've got a lot of hills.
Yeah, the signal's hard to get out here, but every now and then it plays for you. But sometimes I'm directly got a line of sight to Mount Horror and I can't get a signal for buggery.
Yeah, gotcha.
And that's where the tower is,
My parents also have like a little bit of a shack that my dad built on top of a trailer, and they've got an awning and pot-belly stove and that down at Bothwell.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I know Bothwell.
Yeah. So they've got access to Guns Timber land right next door. So I think it's over 60,000 acres or something.
And they go in there and camp, do they still?
My dad goes there and camps for free, and he also gets to shoot deer, doe all year round, stags 1 month a year, and they do a bit of shooting up there for roo as well. Yeah, right.
I remember driving through.
They got up there at the Bennetts and the Rufus Wallabies.
Yep.
Yeah. You know that touch the foresters, they're protected.
Yeah, they've been hammered pretty hard.
Northeast, that's what reminded me. They've got a reserve up there. They've got about 6,000 forester kangaroos up there breeding.
Oh, beautiful. Excellent.
Yeah, so I have seen them. It's pretty good.
There's a few of them out at Peddle Point, right out near the wind farm there at Cape Portland.
Oh, yeah, yep.
You go out there in the morning, you see a few mobs out there with maybe 100 or so in it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're a lot different from your big greys and big reds too. They're about the same size, but they've got a different fur coloration. Yeah,
and it's thicker too. They've got a lot more fur to stay warm down here.
Kind of fur.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Nah, that's awesome, mate.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, thanks a heap for your info, mate. It's a shame that you didn't find it yesterday when you could have taken a nice photo of it.
That would be awesome.
but not to worry.
Yeah, well, thanks for the call, mate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for your time. That's great.
No, and if I could jump on board with anything to do with the enthusiasm for the Tassie Thylacine, let me know.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Have a look at our website. There's a bit of info on there.
All right, mate. Cheers for the call.
All right, good on you, mate. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.